What if I told you that a single shot in Sarajevo sparked one of the deadliest conflicts in human history? Welcome to our 4-part series on the World War I, where we delve into each year of this global catastrophe. In this episode, we'll uncover how the first year of the Great War unfolded. This is HistoryCrafts. The stage for World War I was set long before 1914. Decades of imperialism, nationalism, and military build-up created a powder keg waiting for a spark. The major powers of Europe were divided into two rival alliances. The Triple Entente on one hand, which contained France, Russia, and Britain, and on the other side, the Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. Each nation pursued its own ambitions, often at the expense of peace. The Triple Entente was not a formal alliance, but a series of agreements, starting with the Franco-Russian alliance in 1894 and culminating in the Anglo-Russian agreement in 1907. It aimed to counter Germany's growing influence. The Triple Alliance, on the other hand, formed in 1882 as a defensive pact, although Italy's commitment wavered, eventually siding with the Allies in 1915. The event which started it all came on June 28, 1914. Archduke Franz Ferdinand, the apparent heir to the Austrian-Hungarian throne, and his wife Sophie were assassinated by Gavrilo Princip, a member of the nationalist group, the Black Hand. Austria-Hungary issued an ultimatum to Serbia, knowing it would likely provoke a larger conflict. Backed by Germany's promise of support, Austria declared war on Serbia on July 28, 1914, just 1 month later after the assassination. The dominoes began to fall. Russia mobilized to defend Serbia, prompting Germany to declare war on Russia on August 1st. Germany then declared war on France on August 3rd and invaded neutral Belgium. This violation of Belgian neutrality brought Britain into the war. By the first week of August, the world's most powerful nations were embroiled in a conflict that would soon reach every corner of the globe. German's Kaiser Wilhelm II, Russian's Tsar Nicholas II, and British Prime Minister Herbert Asquith were central to the decisions that escalated the crisis. Germany's war strategy, the Schlieffen Plan, was bold but deeply flawed. The idea was to quickly defeat France by invading through Belgium, then redirect forces to the slower-moving Russian front. However, the plan underestimated Belgian resistance and the speed of British intervention. German forces faced unexpected delays at the Battle of Liège in early August, where the heavily fortified Belgian city slowed their advance. The Battle of Liège is often regarded as the first major battle of World War I. Around 35 Belgian troops defended the city against 59,000 Germans, inflicting over 5,000 German casualties and delaying their advance. Meanwhile, Britain sent the British Expeditionary Force (BEF) to France under the leadership of Field Marshal Sir John French. The small but professional force engaged German troops at the Battle of Mons on August 23rd, delaying their march toward Paris. By September, German forces were just miles from Paris. The French, under General Joseph Joffre, launched a counter-offensive at the First Battle of the Marne on September 6th till September 12th. With the help of British forces, the German advance was halted. The failure of the Schlieffen Plan marked the end of Germany's hopes for a quick victory and set the stage for a prolonged war of attrition. The Schlieffen Plan failure also revealed the limitations of early 20th century logistics and coordination, as vast armies struggled to maintain supply lines and communications. While the Western Front descended into stalemate, the Eastern Front saw a war of rapid movement. Russia's early offensive into East Prussia and Galicia caught Germany and Austria-Hungary off guard. An important example of the Eastern Front action in the Baltic states was the Battle of Lodz in November. Involving 400,000 German troops against 800,000 Russians, the battle demonstrated Germany's ability to outmaneuver larger forces, inflicting significant casualties and straining Russia's war efforts. The Battle of Tannberg became one of Germany's most celebrated victories. Under Generals Paul von Hindenburg and Erich Ludendorff, German forces encircled and destroyed a Russian army of over 150,000 soldiers, capturing 90,000 prisoners. This victory boosted German morale and solidified Hindenburg's reputation as a national hero. However, the Russian offensive in Galicia inflicted devastating losses on Austrian-Hungary sides, forcing them to retreat. By the end of 1914, The Eastern Front had expanded into vast battlefields stretching across modern-day Poland, Ukraine and the Baltic states. Unlike the entrenched stagnation in the West, armies on the Eastern Front moved hundreds of miles in a single campaign, creating logistical nightmares for both sides. Leaders like Russian General Alexander Samsonov and Austrian-Hungarian commander Konrad von Hötzendorf played pivotal roles in shaping the chaotic dynamics on this front. After Germany's failure of the Schlieffen Plan, both sides of the Western Front sought to outflank each other in what became known as the Race to the Sea. This series of maneuvers stretched the front lines from Switzerland to the North Sea, solidifying a stalemate that would last for years. The First Battle of Ypres, which lasted from October to November 1914, was a bloody and indecisive clash that marked the end of mobile warfare in the West. Both sides dug in, creating a network of trenches that became synonymous with the horrors of World War I. Soldiers faced conditions unimaginable in modern warfare: mud-filled trenches, constant artillery bombardments, and the ever-present threat of disease. Trench warfare also introduced new tactics and weapons, such as poison gas, which would become a grim hallmark of the conflict in later years. Trench systems extended over 400 miles with no man's land, becoming a deadly zone, littered with barbed wire and the dead. Soldiers endured constant shellfire, disease, and the horrors of trench foot and dysentery. The First Battle of Ypres was a grueling clash, resulting in 260,000 casualties, 126,000 for the Allied side and 134,000 for the Germans. Germany launched relentless offensives to break through Allied lines, but was ultimately repelled, solidifying the stalemate. World War I was truly a global conflict. At sea, the British Royal Navy enforced a blockade that sought to starve Germany and its allies to critical resources. Germany countered with U-boat warfare, targeting Allied shipping in an effort to break the blockade. The Battle of Helgoland in August 28 showcased Britain's naval superiority. Led by Admiral David Beatty, British forces ambushed and destroyed several German ships near their naval bases. This early victory boosted British confidence, but also highlighted the growing threat of German submarines. In the battle itself, Admiral David Beatty destroyed 3 German cruisers and 1 destroyer, killing 712 German sailors, while losing only 35 British lives. The entry of the Ottoman Empire in late October reshaped the conflict, opening new fronts in regions such as the Caucasus, Mesopotamia, and the Middle East. These theaters added layers of complexity to an already global conflict. In the Caucasus front, Ottoman forces clashed with Russia in harsh winter conditions. The Battle of Sarikamish resulted in a catastrophic defeat for the Ottomans, with over 60,000 soldiers lost due to freezing conditions and Russia's resistance. In the Middle East, British forces aimed to secure vital oil supplies and maintain control over the Suez Canal, a strategic lifeline to their empire. Early skirmishes along the canal foreshadowed larger campaigns in Mesopotamia, which is modern-day Iraq, where British and Indian troops began advancing towards Ottoman-controlled Baghdad, while British and French forces captured Germans' Togoland in Africa. South Africa, under General Jan Smuts, waged campaigns against German Southwest Africa. Japan, as an ally of Britain, captured German-held territories in China and the Pacific. The first year of World War I saw the dawn of industrialized warfare. Technologies like machine guns, heavy artillery, and barbed wire turned battlefields into slaughterhouses, forcing armies to adapt or perish. The U-boats, submarines, revolutionized naval combat in 1914 alone. They sank over 20 Allied ships, demonstrating their deadly efficiency in reshaping naval strategies. Aircrafts, initially used for reconnaissance, began to change the dynamics of war. The first aerial dogfights took place, with pilots like Roland Garros and Max Immelmann becoming pioneers of aerial combat. Germany's Zeppelins also brought the war to civilian populations, bombing British cities and showing fear far from the front lines, though they were vulnerable to anti-aircraft fire. These innovations hinted at the industrialized slaughter that would come to define the rest of the war. The scale of the first year of World War I is staggering when viewed through numbers. By the end of 1914, over 5 million soldiers had been mobilized in Germany alone, with France, Russia and Britain each contributing millions or more. Austria-Hungary deployed 2.2 million troops, while smaller nations like Belgium and Serbia also mobilized significant portions of their population. The human cost was already becoming apparent as well. By December 1914, an estimated 1.5 million soldiers had been killed, wounded or taken prisoner across all fronts. Civilians were not spared either, with thousands displaced or caught in the crossfire of invasions and occupations. For example, Belgium suffered heavily civilian casualties during Germany's initial invasion. The sheer numbers underscore the scale of a war that was just the beginning. Millions of soldiers were entrenched on multiple fronts. Empires mobilized their populations, and the promise of a quick victory had evaporated. In total, 28 countries would eventually join the conflict, but in 1914, the main participants included the Central Powers, Germany, Austria-Hungary and the Ottoman Empire, and the Allied powers, France, Russia, Britain and Serbia. Each of these nations committed to a war effort that would stretch their resources and populations to the brink. The first year of World War I set the stage for 4 more years of unprecedented struggles. Alliances, technologies, and strategies clashed in ways that reshaped nations and societies. And this was just the beginning. Join us next time as we explore the second year of the Great War, delving deeper into the battles, strategies, and human stories that defined a generation. And as always, this is HistoryCrafts, where history crafts itself.